Mike Babcock, you're fired. Kyle Dubas, you're fired. The team dentist, you're fired. I'm stepping in. We're doing things right here in Toronto. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode number 1 of your Toronto Maple Leafs mini-series for NHL 20. Now, I'll explain myself when I say mini-series. But first, NHL 20, here we are. Franchise mode is looking so good. I've been messing around with it for a couple hours, but I'm finally ready to jump right into this. You got coaching staff, you can hire and fire coaches, you got the trade finder, you got player interviews, you got players coming up to you as the GM, asking you to do things, you got assistant coaches talking to you. There's a lot to unpack here for NHL 20 franchise mode. Now, when I say mini-series, I'm only doing 5 years. We have a 5-year challenge, a 5-year window to win a Stanley Cup with your Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, we have the pieces in play, but there's definitely some obstacles that we have to work around here with Toronto, and we'll get into the roster breakdown, kind of my plan, in a couple minutes. But I want to explain the mini-series. Since there's so much to unpack, there's so much to do, I want to make sure I have a really good grasp on everything. I want to make sure I understand the coaching staff, the player meetings, the draft meetings. I want to make sure I understand the trade finder, and I thought, why not? Let's get Toronto a Stanley Cup. Let's try 5 years, and then we'll probably have a pretty good grasp on everything, and then we'll move on to our long-term franchise mode, which might be an expansion team. It might be the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, they did win the vote on Twitter, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Right now, I want to unpack NHL 20 franchise mode, and we're going to start it off with a 5-year mini-series with the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're going to take this thing kind of slow. I've only have 5 years. I set the franchise mode length to 5 years. I can't go past that. Even if we draft, a franchise player, I can't go past it. It's going to end off on year number 5, and that's going to be it. So the series might be short and sweet, but I'm pretty excited to do this. I'm very excited to get into some simulation. I'm kind of excited to do Toronto as well, a team that I will admit firsthand I'm not the biggest fan of, but I think they have a really good shot at winning the Stanley Cup in a couple years. Maybe not this year, but next year and the year after. With my guidance, my resume speaks for itself. 4 Stanley Cups in Saskatchewan, 8 Stanley Cups in Seattle. I can do this. Toronto, you're in good hands. Plus, we got all the assistant GMs in the comments. We're going to get you guys a Stanley Cup. But we also have to somehow beat the Bruins first. So try to figure that out somehow. So right away, you can see the line screen is a little bit different. You have line chemistry. So if I was to go ahead and throw like Mitch Marner right here, that wouldn't be very good for Mitch Marner. He obviously brings that line down. He's not going to be getting a ton of minutes, but Freddie Gauthier is like, hell yeah, I'm playing with John Tavares and William Nylander. Jackpot. Ideally, I'd like to have everything in the green, but again, this is going to be a tiny work in progress. We only have 5 years to do it, so it's not like we can really wait. We kind of got to figure it out year 1, year 2, and then 3, 4, 5 are going to be contending for a Stanley Cup. Well, I hope so anyways. So the biggest obstacle is going to be the Mitch Marner contract. Now, for some reason, the game puts him still at his entry level for 1920, even though technically he should be an RFA right now. So I'm a little bit confused on that front, but we're going to have to sign him. We're going to basically take it as like a grace period, I guess, right now. We have the 1 year, and then I guess it kicks in. But I guess I should introduce you guys to our head coach, and that is going to be Mr. Reese Moore, so I'm kind of going to break this down. Again, I don't really have a complete grasp on it right now, so we're kind of going to learn together. But Reese Moore, okay, he's got 5 years left on his contract. We can fire him basically at will, but he does look to be pretty good. He's got A minus, B on the PK, A+ on teaching, which I really like. So that's going to mean our players are going to jump up into the NHL and they're going to grow a little bit quicker. A+ for teaching is nice. Coach influence. So a generalist will help develop and grow all players on your team. So I guess they're not specifically, focused on offensive players. They kind of help everyone grow, which I like. All right, Reese Moore. Moore, we're off to a good start. That's our assistant coach, but his current morale is happy. All that's good. His best player chemistry is with Spezza, Tavares, and Zach Hyman. It's still weird to think that Spezza is a Maple Leaf, but so that's kind of cool. So you can see their coaching record, which is awesome. Hopefully Reese Moore sticks around and we can get a couple Stanley Cups underneath his belt. Well, obviously we're going to have to wait and see about that. Now, balanced. Okay, coaches with a balanced scheme work best with balanced players, but can work out with players who have a strong preference on how they play. Okay, so a 57% team fit. I don't know if that's good or not. Just by looking at the roster scheme fit, it looks like he likes the grindy kind of players, like the Zach Hymans. He really likes him for some reason. Freddie Gauthier, like Ben Harper, Garrett Wilson. He has a liking to Ben Harper more than Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, so that concerns me a little bit. But again, maybe it's something we can work on. We're kind of going to be growing this together. I still really don't know a whole lot. So team strategies here, this I'm not really going to worry about too much. He's a balanced coach. We'll give you the mix of both offense and defense. It will be biased towards the most balanced team and strategy set. Okay, cool. So all this stuff I'm not really going to worry about right now, but Reese Moore is the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Got a whole bunch of other coaches here that we can look around. So I guess we'll have a look at this guy who's our NHL assistant coach. His style is offense. So you can see he's not quite as good as Mr. Reese Moore. He's got C, B, A, B, C, B. Now, what about his team likeliness? Okay, I guess you can't see that. You can only kind of see that for the head coach, I guess, or his team fit, sorry. So I guess that's only suitable for the head coach. I guess that makes sense. Now, our AHL head coach is a guy that maybe Reese Moore doesn't work out. We can bring him up. That's kind of something you can look at, or you can just hire a head coach in the offseason, but you always have to have a head coach. So right now, if we were to fire Reese Moore, I would basically just promote one of our assistant coaches, make them an interim head coach, and I can have the choice to make him a full-time head coach or bring him back down to the assistant coach, and then we can find a coach in the offseason. But a few more things I want to look at here before we kind of dissect the roster, and that's going to be the trade finder, which is super cool. So the trade finder is going to be different at different times of the year. So for example, Mitch Marner at the draft this year, his trade value will be basically cut in half, if not a little bit lower, because he doesn't have a contract. He's going to be an RFA. So if we just see if there's any trades for him right now, there won't be. So obviously it's before the preseason starts. Maybe if we were to do this in the middle of the year or at the start of the year, there would be some trades. You are going to notice though a player that's an RFA, their trade value is going to be significantly lower. Now I don't know if there is going to be any trades, and there is. So right away, if we put Morgan Riley on the blocker, we kind of see what teams are willing to offer. The Chicago Blackhawks are willing to offer a first, Brent Seabrook, and Alex Nylander. So that's a terrible trade right out the gate. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say no to that. What about Johnny T? Now this is something I like just to kind of mess around with. So nothing for John Tavares, Timothy Liljegren, anything for a nice young defenseman. We got Backlund, Brody, and a third, which isn't terrible. It's a lot of cap, but there's that. And obviously this is going to change throughout the year. Around the trade deadline, you're going to be getting a lot more trades, or a lot more interest, I guess I should say. William Nylander for Robin Lehner, a first, a second, and Brent Seabrook. You just think you can just throw Brent Seabrook in there? $6.8 million? Come on. So Chicago's throwing a bunch at us here. Tyson Barrie is a guy we're going to have to deal with as well. He has 1 year left on his contract. And again, the Hawks are all over that. We could get Nazem Kadri back. So they basically just want Tyson Barrie back. That's kind of funny. And the Minnesota Wild want to give us Parise. What's with this cap dump? Oh my God, that's terrible. It's kind of fun to see what teams want to offer. It's kind of fun just to mess around with the trade block. Like Travis Dermott has 13 offers. There's 13 teams that want to offer us something for Travis Dermott, which is pretty crazy. It looks like just a bunch. Oh man, Zach Parise. Honestly, no, I can get a first for Travis Dermott, a first, a third, but I have to take on Brent Seabrook. So that's kind of something that makes sense. You get a first for Travis Dermott, but you got to pay Brent Seabrook till the end of time. Now, I haven't messed around with the trade finder regarding goalies yet. Is there any love for Freddie Anderson? So Calgary, that makes sense. I guess they would need a legitimate starting goalie, and they're sending 2 offers. So I kind of like how the trades are making somewhat sense. They're not just throwing out random offers. Now, is there any interest for like a guy like Ian Scott? Is there anything out there? There is. Okay, so 10 offers. Okay, so you can really put anything on the trade block and basically get a trade offer. That's pretty cool. What about this guy? I mean, I don't even know who this dude is. Is there any trade offers for him? There's 5. So I can get Jason Megna, Nate Thompson, a 7th, 2 7ths, a 6. Okay, so you can get offers for just random players. I guess that's going to help if you just want to get rid of a player. You just don't really have to shop them. You can just kind of take the best offer. What about for like a 2nd, just for fun? Is there any sort of offers? Looks like we got something. 20 offers for a 2nd. Seriously, I could do this all day. Vancouver, oh my god, why are you the way you are? Vancouver throwing Sutter and Beagle at us. Oh boy. And Biega and Ben. They really want this 2nd. So you can really put anything on the trade block. Again, I haven't really messed around with the trade block that much, so this is kind of fun for me. You can get a whole whack of stuff. Okay, this is cool. This is cool. We'll definitely check out the trade block a little bit more, but you can also put multiple things. So say I wanted to trade Tavares and Austin Matthews. I highly doubt there's going to be a trade because that's just a lot of cap. What about like Matthews and like Jeremy Bracco? Will I get anything for that? Or what about Matthews and a pick? Does that work? Does that entice any offers? I guess it's kind of hard to throw a trade together to get Austin Matthews. What if I put like Timothy Liljegren and a 2nd? Will I get some insane trades? Okay, so just basically just more picks. What if I put him with Freddie Anderson, a prospect defenseman, and a starting goalie? Okay, there's nothing. So, I don't know. I'm going to have to work on it as best I can, but seriously, I could do that all day. Just mess around with the trade block, see what kind of offers we can get. That's definitely going to be useful at the trade deadline, that's for sure. All right, so I guess let's break down the roster here, see what we're working with the Toronto Maple Leafs. We got William Nylander with the flow of the century, John Tavares, obviously, and then Mitch Marner, who, again, I still don't understand why his contract is not an RFA right now. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. But Kasperi Kapanen, pretty good second liner. Ideally, I like my second liners to be 85 plus. But again, we got to work on that. You can't have everything right out the gate. We got Austin Matthews here. Is there anything else I can show you here? So it looks like... Okay, so scheme fit. It looks like he's best suited for the third line. Does that make sense? Or am I reading that wrong? His scheme fit was like highest on the third line. Maybe I don't understand it quite yet, but there's that. Is there anything else I can see here? So we got him locked up for basically the entire franchise mode. We're not going to be able to touch that. He's locked up forever. His current morale is happy. That's good. Andreas Johnsson, again, isn't the ideal second line scorer. I mean, he put up second line points. Another really cool thing is you can see the NHL totals at the bottom. So instead of having to calculate it for your favorite player or whatever, say you trade a player midway through the year, you can see how many points he had with your team as opposed to his other team. The years will be split, which is kind of cool. It's just a little thing, but I think that adds a lot to the franchise mode. So right away, the biggest thing I can see on our team is our second line wing. I don't know if Andreas Johnsson's going to cut it. We have Pontus Aberg, who was signed as a PTO, but he made the team. He's here. Still, some subject to change, but Pontus Aberg isn't terrible. It's not ideal, but I mean, we have to work with what we got. Alex Kerfoot, which is actually a really, really good third line center. He does have 85 faceoffs. He kind of fits perfectly there. And then Zach Hyman, the perfect third line wing. I'm a big Zach Hyman fan. Garrett Wilson, only 71 overall. I think we have some players scratched, actually, that we could probably put in there, like either Nick Shore or Agostinho, so we can kind of change that up as we want. Jason Spezza, who has 94 face-offs, so you're going to see the face-off ratings have been completely changed. You're going to see a lot of high face-off ratings for really good centers. Obviously, Jason Spezza has taken a ton of draws in his time. Even though Austin Matthews is a much better player, his face-offs don't quite add up to what Jason Spezza's are, so that's awesome. You're going to have that on your penalty kill, which is going to be nice. That's going to be very important. And then Freddie Gauthier on the fourth line left wing. So Garrett Wilson will probably just sub out, honestly, but he's just there for right now. Morgan Riley, Tyson Barrie, Travis Dermott, Jake Muzzin, Ben Harper, and Cody Ceci. So I'm not too familiar with this Ben Harper character. His coach satisfaction is very high, so the coach loves this guy. So if I take him out, will the coach be upset with me? These are all things we're going to learn together here. Looks like all of our defensemen are very high. Coach satisfaction very high. What about for forwards? awards. Is that maybe a little bit different? Very high, very high, very high. So I guess the coach likes everyone. That's good. I mean, there's nothing to not like. He's a first-time coach, so he doesn't really have anything to go on. And then Freddie Anderson, very high, as well as Michael Neuwirth, who is our backup. So right away, I think we should have a look in free agency because I know a player off the top of my head who has been around the NHL for a long, long time. He can put up some decent points, and I think he would be pretty awesome to play on the wing with Austin Matthews. Yep, you're looking at him. Jumbo Joe Thornton, all right? So that kind of fits our need. Now, how's his face-offs? 83, so they match Austin Matthews. He can play the wing. If I sign Joe Thornton right now, and of course, Jake Gardiner is still in free agency. However, Pat Maroon should be on Tampa Bay, but the rosters aren't quite updated yet because the game isn't even out. So that was kind of something I had in my head, was to immediately sign Joe Thornton because we don't have a first-round pick for this year, so I can't go get that big playoff rental because that pick was obviously traded. That pick was traded in the Patrick Marleau trade to Carolina, which eventually Carolina bought out Patrick Marleau. So that first-round pick is gone. We're not getting that thing back. So that's kind of my idea, is to fix our second-line scoring with Jumbo Joe Thornton. Then we could basically get rid of Garrett Wilson and put Pontus Aberg on the fourth line, which isn't ideal because he's a sniper, but I mean, it's not the end of the world, really. So that's kind of my plan, is to have Andreas Johnsson, Kerfoot, Zach Hyman, Kapanen, Matthews, and Jumbo Joe Thornton. So I think that should be our first move as GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs, is sign Jumbo Joe Thornton to a contract. It's going to be 1 year. He knows he's coming here to win a cup. 1 year, 2.75. I mean, for the beard alone, absolutely. I'm currently considering my options. I hope he does sign. However, there was no other teams interested, so I don't think we should have a problem. But I'm super excited to start this thing out. I honestly can't wait. There's a lot of new features that you guys are really, really going to like. Jason Spezza had 3 points against his old team in our first preseason game. You'd love to see that. Now, I thought I should just mention that I haven't touched any of the sliders, but there you go. Jumbo Joe Thornton. He's in Toronto, baby. Welcome, Jumbo Joe. 84 overall. Your cash offer was most generous. It was really quite easy to make up my mind. Welcome, Jumbo Joe Thornton. You know what? You can take the preseason off. You've played 22 preseasons. You can have this one off, and you'll be ready to go for the start of the year. What I was going to say is that I haven't touched any sliders, I haven't edited any players, I haven't done anything. But what we are going to do is we are going to make sure all of our scouts are sent out properly. So I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera because it's a little bit tedious, and then we will get this thing going. Jumbo Joe Thornton, welcome to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it actually works better with William Nylander on the second line. So should we just put Jumbo with Tavares and Marner and then really stack our second line? Because you can see it's got the +1 overall. If I put him back down there, it goes to 0 on the line chemistry. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're going to put Nylander with Matthews and Kapanen, which was, I guess, kind of the line this year, and then Marner, Tavares, and Jumbo, which is crazy. This is Jumbo's last shot at a Stanley Cup ring. We are listed as a champion, so it's basically Stanley Cup or bust here with this Toronto Maple Leafs team. I know it's a lot of expectations, it's a lot of pressure, but I mean, it's a hockey hotbed. It's the Toronto freaking Maple Leafs. So just having a look at the draft class here, obviously we don't have a first round pick. Drafting, I'm not going to pay a ton of attention to because we only have 5 years, and if I was to take, I mean, I guess year 1 and year 2 are going to be an important draft class, but 3, 4, and 5, honestly, just forget about it. If I have picks for that draft that come up in a potential trade, maybe I will think about moving them around or this and that, but Alexis Lafreniere, there he is. He's got 6 points in 5 games. Another thing that's pretty cool is at the actual NHL draft, you can like interview players. I don't know how much I'm going to use that feature, but it is still pretty cool. Now that we're at the season start here, let's see if there's any other trades for like Austin Matthews, just to see. So I guess not. Mitch Marner, is there anything? No, I just want to see some blockbusters. I don't want to obviously make a move on anyone here, but I still think it's kind of cool just to see if there is any blockbuster moves. John Tavares has none. I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to make a huge move like that, so I guess it makes sense. Kind of the exact same trades we got last time. Any for Tyson Barrie? Just the Nazem Kadri one. So as the season goes on, things will change. What about for Jumbo Joe? Is there any love for Jumbo? You guys all could have had him in free agency, but now the Bruins are offering me a first. Great. They're sending 3 different offers. Okay, 4. Oh my God. Zach Parise for Joe Thornton. Imagine. The Minnesota Wild sent 4 offers. Okay. And then Nashville wants to give us a first. You guys could have had him in free agency, idiots. All right, that's kind of funny. Now, looking in the very near future, our prospect pool isn't super fantastic. Timothy Liljegren is kind of the only one who I can see who will probably have a chance at making the NHL roster next year or the year after. If he has a good year down here in the Toronto Marlies organization, I'm sure he'll be able to jump up for next year, become a third pairing guy, and then once we're headed into the Stanley Cup Finals and winning President's Trophies, you're going to see him as a legitimate top 2 pairing guy. So there's not a lot to look at prospect-wise, which isn't a bad thing because we're only here for 5 years. But there's no prospect goalies really besides Ian Scott. But Ian Scott's actually pretty good in real life. A lot of the new features come in the simulation. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to get a month of simulation done. Now, if you're new to my franchise modes, I really like to do a little bit of slow simming here and there. So what we're going to do is we are going to hop into a slow sim here. We're going to go goal by goal. Something else kind of new, it automatically goes to goals as opposed to going to all events. So you're going to see me all the time click this button even though it already goes to goals. Just going to be something I have to get used to. But here we go. Period number 1. GM xTech in the building. Reese Moore in the building. New head coach behind the bench. See you later, Babcock. Starting off with a 5-on-3. Let's go first period. And it's 2-2. Kasperi Kapanen, Austin Matthews, Colin White, and Drake Batherson. Okay, so it's a 2-2 contest here. Even though we're shit kicking the Senators in shots, 17-5. Period number 2. All right, 3-2. Mikhail Bodker, of course. 30-11 are the shots, and we're losing. You hate to see it. Come on, boys. In front of your home fans. Oh, my God. We're down by 2 here in front of your home fans. The Scotiabank Arena is not a happy arena right now. Dropping our home opener 4-2, 5-2. Chris Tierney. All right, I guess we maybe underestimated the Ottawa Senators a little bit, and they take it to us. But what you're going to see here during the simulation is you're going to see coaches stepping up to us. You're going to see players coming up to us. So let's see what the first maybe 10 games have in store for us, and then we'll go from there. It looks like we play on every single Saturday this month, which is kind of crazy. And there's an 8-3 loss, and we are 1-4-1 to start off the year. Not what I was expecting. Semi Vatanen, a third, and Andy Green for a first? Absolutely not. Whoa. We're pushing the panic button right now. 1-5-2? What's going on here? What's the deal, Toronto? Why? No. This is not how this is supposed to happen. So 8 games in, we have 1 win. 1 win in our first 8 games. We have a whopping 4 points in 8 games. That's just simply not good enough. But if you were to fire the coach right now, say hypothetically we were to do that, you might see the team rally around that and maybe start to play better. But since it's still really, really early on, I said I push the panic button to push the big red button, but I'm not going to freak out quite as much right now. 1-5-1's not great. However, I think maybe if we change something up, maybe I move Willie Nylander back up to the first line, move Jumbo Joe down. We'll see how that works out. How's Jumbo doing? 2 assists in 8 games, and Will Nye's got 4 assists in 8 games. So I don't know. Let's just get this first month done here, and then I'm going to take your guys' comments after episode number 1. Again, if you're new to my franchise modes, there's a lot of fan interaction, so if you leave a comment, you might get featured in the next video. You guys are all my assistant GMs. I'm just the big dumb idiot who pushes the A button. So you guys are basically steering the ship. After episode number 1, you guys are going to have a lot of input on this series. But the Boston Bruins, all right, if we want to turn things around, right now is the time to do it. A first and a second for Backlund. I don't have problems down the middle. I'm going to say no, but there's going to be a lot more trade offers coming our way, which is kind of cool. 3-4-0 for the 3-4-0 for the Boston Bruins, 1-5-2 for the Maple Leafs. All right, in front of your home fans, Scotiabank Arena, we let the first shot in. Oh boy, we have our work cut out for us here in Toronto, especially with the Boston Bruins. Here we go. First period, it's 2-0. Anders Bjork gets both of them. Period number 2. All right, there you go. What a second period. Johnny T puts the team on his back. Marner and Alex Kerfoot. We have a 2-goal lead going into the third. Now, I've seen a lot of Toronto collapses in my day, and especially a lot against the Leafs. Let's stop that trend right now. Oh, God damn. Miller from before the blue line and David Pasternak. Oh my God. I said I didn't even touch the sliders. That's just the hockey gods talking. That's strictly just a short-handed goal from before the blue line. That's just hockey gods right there. And we blew the lead. Oh boy, we have a lot of work cut out for us, that's for sure. 4-4, Boston, Toronto in overtime. I feel like I've seen this movie before. Let's see if we can have a different ending here, all right? Here we go. Overtime in Toronto. Let's do this. Now, just for transparency's sake, I'm not playing. Currently, this is just computers. I'm just watching, just for fun. Brad Marchand sneaks in, and Freddie Anderson says no. If we want to eventually win the... Oh, my God. I was going to say, if we want to eventually win the Cup, we got to find a way to get past the Bruins here, and it all starts tonight, but Charlie McAvoy completely walks Morgan Riley. Oh my God. 1.5 minutes left in overtime. Mitch Marner, one-on-one with Charlie McAvoy, curls back, gets the puck knocked off. He still has it though. Comes through, finds Tavares. Oh, tries to set up, I think 41. Who is that? I don't even know. Tyson Barrie, that's a new number, 41. Not used to seeing that. Big save by Freddie Anderson, keeping the play alive in overtime. That's what I love to see. Last year, that would never happen. The goalie would just basically hold it. Oh, why didn't you pass there? Will Nye, the hockey guy. William Nylander scores in overtime. It's not the same movie you saw once before. The Maple Leafs beat the Bruins, and oh, baby, it feels good. I was actually really hoping for a pass there, but oh man, look at that. One knee down, the new number 88, William Nylander. That's a sick replay. That's awesome. There you go. We got Carlton out there. He's chilling, saluting the fans. That's exactly how you turn around a shitty start to a year. We deserve to win that game, though. Come on. We blew the lead, but 44-30 are the shots. Like, we deserve to win that one big time. And, of course, we have another game against them next week, so that's going to be always fun. Hopefully, a first and a second for Eric Howla and TVR. Maybe if that was JVR, no way. Big old 3-0 shutout win there against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now this time we're in TD Garden, all right? So we got that little bit of momentum after that overtime win against the Bruins. Now let's see if we can continue that here. Looking for 3 straight after starting the year a little bit slow. First period, 1-1. All right, Jason Spezza and Patrice Bergeron, period number 2. Oof, 5-3. Corrali, Chara, Pasta, and Brad Marchand. Andreas Janssen and Morgan Riley score on Jaro Halak. I think Halak has started both games that we've played. Where's Tuukka Rask at? Maybe he's scared to play Toronto. Come on, guys. Power play, can you make it close at least? Can you make it close? All right, so we end up losing 5-3. So I think what we should do is we could tally up our record against the Bruins throughout this entire franchise mode. So right now we are 1-1. We play them for a 3rd time in November. Do we play them anymore? Do we play them a 4th time? I guess it's just 3 times a year. Oh no, sorry, we do play them 4 times. We play them 1 time in March. So we're definitely going to have to keep track on that. I want you guys in the comments to stay on that, but obviously it's going to be a super fun rivalry here. We lost that one 5-3. Jason Demers for a second, and no thank you. All I want to do is get the first month done. That's a huge win there against the Washington Capitals, 4-2. They're 8-4-2, but we're 5-7-2, so definitely not a great start. The first 3 games really killed us, and then we just got stomped 8-3, shut out 1-0. Started to turn it around a little bit. A win there, a win there, a win there, a win here. So it's slowly turning around here for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We got a lot of work to do though. 5-7-2 is not a great start. Throughout the first 14 games, Austin Matthews leading the way with 16 points. Now, I want to get your guys' opinion. Should we name a captain right now, or should we wait? Because we currently don't have a captain named, so I'm going to leave that up to you guys in the comments. We're going to end off this video pretty quick, but it looks like Tavares has 11 and 14. He's a -3, though. Kasperi Kapanen, there you go. Jumbo with 9. Mitch Marner only with 8. I mean, it's still early on, and we've kind of had a rough start, so I'm not going to push the panic button. However, there is some work to do here in Toronto. We got a wild ride ahead of us. I want to thank you for watching episode number 1. Now, I want to let you guys know there's going to be a little bit of a gap between episode number 1 and episode number 2. I'm currently pre-recording as much as I can. I leave to go on an NHL 20 event, a trip to New York, which is going to be involved with Adidas and a bunch of NHLers. So I'm currently, as you're watching this, I'm in New York. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but I'm in New York with Adidas and the NHL and EA Sports, so that's pretty cool. But there is going to be a little bit of a gap because I'm obviously going to be traveling, but maybe that's a good thing because I want to see all your guys' comments and I want to see what you guys have planned for the series, what you think we should do. Again, we only have 5 years, so we got to kind of figure it out. And we do have 3 assistants, Morgan Riley, John Tavares, and Jason Spezza apparently gets an A right out the gate. So that was just the computer. So if you guys want to name a young captain, you want to name Austin Matthews captain, great. Let me know in the comments. If you think we should give it to John Tavares, that's good too. If you think we should give it to Morgan Riley, let me know as well. I want to hear all your guys' comments, and I'll feature a bunch of them in episode number 2. Thank you for watching. I'm super pumped to do this. We're going to make Toronto great again. That's my goal. Get this team a Stanley Cup. First, we got to figure out how to beat the Bruins on a regular basis, but we can cross that bridge when we get there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in episode number 2.